These sturdy walls, with 2 watchtowers, are all that remains of the prison of Linköping that was torn down in the 1960s. The prison was located within the castle throughout the whole of the 18th and half of the 19th century. Prisoners were kept in the cellar of the castle wings. It was a congested communal prison, and arrest quarters where men, women, and children were kept together in one room. They were thrown in mixed together, irrespective of the crime they had committed, or whether they were just detained in custody. Women who had kept their children with them in the prison often saw them die. All those who died in the castle's prison kept the coffin maker Orgrin busy. The stink from the privy was almost unbearable. Juniper and spruce twigs were burnt to lessen the appalling smell. Prisoners also emptied out their chamber pots through the loopholes. The castle's southern wall looked quite awful according to historical documentation. People of means could sit in a somewhat better space 1 floor up. The overcrowded situation at the castle was simply disgusting. In 1846, one began to move prisoners over to a newly built county jail, which was constructed according to European prototypes. Here, every prisoner had an individual cell where they could contemplate their own particular crime in solitude. Already after a week in custody, so it was reported, some admitted their crime, and others wept in despair in their loneliness. The first escapes occurred just a few months later. One guessed that the window bars were too loose, and that the man had succeeded in wriggling out. But after 3 weeks, the fugitive was caught, and it turned out that he had simply bribed the prison guard with 25 riksdaler. What is the use of well-built prisons if the human factor is the weakest link in the chain? The prison governor lived in an apartment with his family in one wing of the prison. One of the governors in the 19th century was called Zimmermann. Regular meals and one's own room was for many prisoners pure luxury, and for a while the prison was called Zimmermann's Hotel. I shall be damned if I go crawling to farmers. No, it's best to rest a while at the fortress. The county jail was used for 100 years. Some of the inventory, such as food bowls, copper mugs, and toilet bowls, are preserved. Since one had come to realize that the modern innovation of water closets, after an English prison prototype, were too expensive to build, one continued the emptying of all the cell pans every morning. There was an enclosed exercise yard shaped like a cake, with 10 slices that could be guarded by 1 warden. Since all hygienic demands in society increased around the beginning of the 20th century, one was persuaded to allow prisoners 1 bath a month, and not just at the registration on the first day. Both bedbugs and rats were common. One of the more famous criminals in the country, dynamitist Bildsköne Bengtsson, Beautiful Bengtsson, was an inmate here for a while. Time to continue along Gröngatan, across the castle courtyard. Make sure you notice the castle's southern wall, which was once so soiled by the contents of chamber pots. The cell windows on the bottom floor have been rebuilt recently. Continue down Storgatan until you reach Stora Torget. Stop in front of the old town hall.